Adnan Nasser, thank you ever so much for joining us and providing your insight on the ongoing situation in Yemen. As strikes continue in Yemen and action from the Houthis continues, we will of course be across all of the developments. We stay in the Middle East now as Israel's Security Cabinet has approved a plan to expand military operations in Gaza. The plan includes the conquest of the Gaza Strip and the relocation of its residents south for protection. The decision was made after the military called up tens of thousands of reservists to intensify operations against Hamas. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu backs Trump's proposal for the voluntary relocation of Gazans to neighbouring countries like Jordan or Egypt. The cabinet unanimously approved expanded military actions targeting Hamas, aiming to weaken the group and help secure the return of hostages held in Gaza. Meanwhile, the European Union urges Israel to show restraint as it plans to expand military operations in Gaza. The EU warns of rising casualties and suffering among the Palestinian population. The plan also discusses the possibility of humanitarian aid disruption in Gaza, which has been under an Israeli blockade since March. Despite the blockade, Israel claims there is enough food in Gaza. The plan includes limited humanitarian aid for Gaza. The territory has been under full Israeli blockade since early March. Israel says there is currently enough food, but aid agencies and the UN warn of a growing humanitarian crisis. They demand that any aid be neutral and reach those most in need. Well, joining us to discuss the breaking developments that we've had today in the ongoing Gaza war, Ali M. Abushbak, an independent Palestinian researcher joining us from Cairo. Thank you for being here. I would like to first get your reaction to this vote that's taken place today, confirming that Israel are looking to seize the whole of Gaza.
The things, unfortunately, it's obviously shocked because Benjamin Netanyahu killed the last glimmer of hope for the Palestinian to reach to ceasefire and to live in peaceful things. Especially this time, it's very hard for the Palestinian who's suffering from the starvation, and we are coming in the age for the famine in Gaza. There is no supplies, there is no food, and people are suffering a lot to find out their basic food. So on the ground, the Palestinian today morning, they got shocked with this confirmation of the Israeli Security Council cabinet that confirmed that the exposure, the offensive and the Israeli military operation in Gaza and seize a lot of land from Gaza, especially Israel controls 70% of the Gaza's places or the Gaza's area as what they call it a buffer zone. So on the social media, people are being shocked and pessimistic about the coming for their future. Especially most of the people on social media, they are empathize that it's a part of the Donald Trump plan for the voluntary exposure for the civilians from Gaza and force them by voluntarily to leave Gaza. So the things is also we have witnessed last 2 weeks that the foreign minister of France and German as well as UK called Israel to adhere to the international law with regard to humanitarian aid and the food, and doesn't use the food as a weapon, a military weapon to pressurize Hamas to reach out for the deal with them. So the things is here's also on the ground. This is in one side, in Palestinian side, also in Israel there is a disagreement with the Benjamin Netanyahu's decision, especially. Most of the opposition people, they consider it as a zero-sum game, especially Israel. They didn't release any single captive from Gaza within a military pressure. So since the November 2023 and also January 2025, Israel released the captive by negotiation and with the talk lines without any forces or without any military tools. So here's we have to know that Benjamin Netanyahu is, buying the time by his decision and if he considered that Hamas will pressurize, because in the very beginning of the war, Benjamin Netanyahu decided that the significant aim, the war is erased Hamas and turn back the hostages from Gaza. But unfortunately, Hamas still existed, and Hamas doesn't accept it to lie down its weapon, like the significant challenge in the talk and negotiation between Hamas and Israel. We have witnessed several of a proposal that put up from Egypt and Qatar as well as United States, but all of that attempt is failed because of the Hamas also sabotaging the deal, as well as Benjamin Netanyahu. Last time we have witnessed Egypt propose a proposal to stop the war and at least for 6 years truce between Gaza and Israel. But Benjamin
Yes.
Netanyahu, he proposed a counter of proposal, which obviously Hamas denied and doesn't accept it. On the ground, the only people who's suffering from this kind of decision, that the civilians who's starving, the civilians who's killing day by starvation and by famine in Gaza. Israel targeting the chastity, I mean the common chicken that offering a food for free for I mean offering the food free for the Palestinian who's suffering from the financial issue. Israel targeted more than three of kitchen in the Palestinian community. Last
Yes, Ali, sorry to interject. I do want to bring in this Trump visit that we know is going to take place in the region. Israeli officials have said that this will offer a window of opportunity, saying that if a deal isn't struck, then these new operations will continue. At this point, with proposals coming in from Egypt and Qatar, with counter proposals coming in from Israel, it seems here that now it's about Hamas disarmament and the release of these hostages. Do you think that that is something that is a possibility, or Hamas going to continue with saying no to those, and it leads to further displacement and a continuation of the humanitarian situation we're seeing in Gaza currently?
See, I guess that the visit of Donald Trump is crucial at this time, especially also Israel decided that will not carry out this decision for exposing the offensive in Gaza until unless the end of the visit of Donald Trump in the region. And also that the open window, in my opinion, that Hamas is not going to release the hostages with a free of cost, just only for allowing that Israel allowed the Palestinian to allowing the humanitarian aid to in Gaza. But the thing is also, in my opinion, and what we have witnessed, that Cairo is pressurized Hamas a lot to accept the deal, at least for ceasefire, for truce or ceasefire for a couple of months. And releasing the hostages. In my opinion, Hamas going to understand the lesson, and Hamas going to understand how much Benjamin Netanyahu is serious to occupy Gaza and also to invade Gaza by on the ground. Also, Hamas has no decision, in my opinion, and especially the people has no capacity to bear that more than pressure and more than starvation in Gaza. So the things is here is not the poll is not in the Hamas sides. Also, it's the poll is in the Benjamin Netanyahu is continuously sabotaging to reach to the truce or the ceasefire agreement or deal. We have witnessed that also Benjamin Netanyahu released a statement that were so close to reach to the ceasefire with the Gaza, but the things is out of the control. So I don't know that what he's meaning. The things it went out of control since the Hamas accepted that the Egypt proposal, while Benjamin Netanyahu he released another counter proposal for him, lying down of Hamas should lie down the weapon, despite Egypt empathize that they will take the weapon from Hamas and will secure it by Egyptian administration, and Hamas has no rule in Gaza for at the day one after the war. Also, I'm sure 100% the people in Gaza themselves, the civilian, will not accept Hamas to be represented in any part of government with the next, after the day one of the war. So everyone empathize that Hamas has a new role. Hamas will not be posting a danger against Israel again. But Benjamin Netanyahu, he's acting like a stubborn to erase Hamas. With not this is a zero-sum game. You can't even see when in 2016 also when Iraq launch a military operation in ISIS. The significant part or the main part, the main aims for this operation, it was to devastated ISIS in Iraq. But until now, there is existence for ISIS because it's ideological. Ideological things. It's not about the.
Ali, I'm sorry to interrupt again. We are running very short on time. I just wanted to pose one final question to you. What role does Iran have to play in the people of Gaza's safety and the people of Gaza's ongoing humanitarian crisis? Of course, Hamas, one of the proxy groups reportedly backed by Iran. Is it Iran's responsibility to do something about this so that tens of thousands of more people aren't displaced, hundreds of thousands potentially over the coming weeks?
Unfortunately, Iran has a project to control the power in the area and also devastated all the community that Iran supported their military group. You can see Iraq community, you can see Lebanon, you can see also Yemen. The main example and the significant example is Gaza. Iran just only has one project in the area to destroy all the countries, the communities, and acting like an innocent. Iran has no responsibility for the people. In especially that in this region, because that also Iranian people are suffering from their regime, suffering from their policy. So the thing is, Hamas, no doubt it's a proxy military group for Iran and backed by Iran. But unfortunately, during this war, Hamas got hard lesson from that Iran because there is no back. Just the only group that supported Hamas, it was Ansarullah al-Houthi in Yemen, also Hezbollah. But ultimately, Hezbollah withdrew from this war after they got hard lesson from Israel and devastated their power in South Lebanon.
Ali Emma Bushback, thank you ever so much for joining us as always. Of course, we will be across all of the developments in Israel, Gaza and across the Middle East. But that is all we have time for. Make sure you're staying tuned to